Okay, so that's a super crazy jump, but when he does it to me, I go really crazy high because he weighs more than I do. But and it's hard to get the ball. So you're jumping first.
Weird.
Not so hard.
It's not as much fun when you're skinnier.
Okay, so now we're about to read our vows.
I go first.
Your voice is so high.
Yeah, my voice is... Everything about the wedding video is hard to relate to because my voice is different, my face is different. We got married just 2 weeks before I began the transition.
Yep.
And I knew by then that I was going to do it, and I had tried very hard to have begun transitioning in time for the wedding.
He'd been wearing men's clothes for
I'd been wearing men's clothes.
a while.
There were sort of, some people there know, and I know, and I want to dress for that and for me, but everyone else there expects to see a girl, and a lot of people didn't recognize me, actually, when I came out.
And pretty much after that first time we met, you told me about your Mennonite background and how that's been very much a problem for you in your life, and you were not out to anyone in your family at all about being gay. And I was just astounded and completely enthralled by everything you were saying because I'd never met anyone who thought there was something wrong with homosexuality.
And I pretty much had never met anyone who thought otherwise, you know?
Yeah, so it's really
We're just
weird.
kind of, whoa,
Yeah, like,
where'd you come from?
It was seeing someone from the other side of the
Yeah.
world or something.
Yeah.
And I felt early on in the relationship that Cal could possibly have been trans,
Yeah.
or that he was always very masculine. So regardless of whether he was Caitlin or Calvin, he was that type of person that I'm attracted to.
And we related that way. That was our dynamic. A lot of people ask how the transition affected our relationship, and the short answer is not very much at all.
Yeah.
Because we already had the dynamic that we have now. And this just actually made it easier. It's improved our ability to communicate and relate to each other.
Yes, and for others around us to see us as men and women, which is almost how we saw each other the whole time. Now they see us that way too.
And
which
things make
helps.
sense to them. That's what everyone keeps saying now.
That it makes
Things make
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
I guess you had two, right?
Yep. I had 2 operations. I went to Kitchener-Waterloo for the hysterectomy. There's a very trans-friendly gynecologist with a lot of experience doing hysterectomies on trans guys. Did a fantastic job. Laparoscopically, so very little scarring at all. And then I went to Toronto, to Mississauga, to get my top surgery with Dr. McLean. Fantastic surgeon, did a great job.
And that was only a couple weeks after your history.
That was only
months.
3 weeks.
My husband's had a histo and a mastectomy. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel much more comfortable around you now as a guy, for sure.
Thinking back on it, I think I related to Caitlin Kelvin in the same way that I related to our oldest son, Josh. So Caitlin loved baseball, and I remember the hours and hours that we would spend practicing and throwing a ball and hitting a ball.
You were so into sports, you were so athletic, and you were, never wanted to wear dresses and stuff, and I just assumed you were a tomboy, and I was never uncomfortable with that. But then as we started to both grow up, teenage years and beyond, I just didn't know how to relate to you.
Maybe that sort of goes into the original question, which is how we've changed as a family. And I think this is just our settling into a much more natural comfortable place and a growing place and a changing place, but it just doesn't feel anymore like there's a fighting against some unknown nebulous thing that nobody can put their finger on. You know?
Right, that's fun. I don't know.
It's Wednesday night.
Yeah, probably.
The first coming out about loving Sharon to my parents, that was very hard emotionally for me. Because that was the first time I was really going to, for many, many, many years, to sit down and speak honestly with my parents. And that was a very frightening thing. You build such walls around yourself.
So when you were coming out and having a hard time saying it, you were crying and you were just...
oh man.
You couldn't say it, and I didn't want to help. Because I didn't want to actually say it.
Kara did the same thing. I'm like, please just guess. Oh, please say
So then Calvin says, Sharon and I are so happy together. And crying. And Dad says, you don't look happy.
Dad says you don't look happy. The second coming out as trans, we'd had that first one, so it sort of felt a little safer now that they had come around on homosexuality. But I still couldn't say the word. I made Sharon tell them because I still had enough internalized transphobia that I couldn't use the word. I couldn't say I'm transsexual and say that to your parents, man.
You know, it was a hard process to go through because in many ways it was a loss of a daughter. Suddenly that daughter is out of our life now, and that's, I think, what we really struggled with. That's changed with time, and there's been a lot of healing that's taken place through that, and now we have a new person in our lives, and two new people in our lives that have come about as a result of that.
It meant a lot to me to talk to somebody from my life experience, both life experience as a trans person and life experience as a Mennonite and as a Christian, and see how he had reconciled all those things. And since then, there has been an increasing disconnect from spirituality and religion that actually has become quite freeing for me. I've been able to come to appreciate what's good about spirituality and religion or what's healthy about it, and I don't need it anymore.
The first thing that comes to mind when I think about how the Neufeld family has changed is in terms of religion or having a church home, a base, a sense of community, and how that's been completely changed since the coming out and since your views have changed.
Everybody in the family has had changes to their religious communities.
Yeah. But at this point, it is a sense of abandonment that I have had to work through at a time when I could have used that support more than most times in my life. Mm-hmm. So in some ways, I think that has brought the family closer together.
Did you ever wonder whether you actually had, two boys and two girls?
Yeah.
Oyster. That's what my parents did to me.
It was Calvin in those earlier pictures, all that we've been through. That was Calvin. So then there isn't a loss. It's just the loss of a name. What's a name?
Yeah.
In terms of the actual emotional coping with losing a daughter, kind of concept. It's like this is not, you have been through so much suffering and I'm not adding to that one bit. So if there is something that I have to adjust to, that's nothing compared to what you've been through. And so we need to do what it takes to make your life whole, right? And support you in that. Everything that we've been through has been so building, so creating wholeness, creating closeness. And all the hurts and the losses are from those who aren't able to be the support and the help and stand beside us and be with us and have left us, alone, but building something wonderful. And I think you said that, how they are missing out more even than we are missing out from having them.
No, lost the bounce. You know, you see every type of family and every type of possible reaction to this kind of news, and the families that fall apart and the people who lose their families really suffer, and the people whose families work to figure this thing out with the goal of being a whole family, you know. I see the difference is so vast, and you wonder, why would anyone choose the alternative? Because I've only seen families grow happier and healthier when they choose the route to acceptance and affirmation. And I've only seen them grow sicker and smaller and lonelier when they choose the opposite.
Gott ist die Liebe, liebt auch mich. Drum sag ich noch einmal, Gott ist die Liebe. God loves his children, loves even me. Love so unending, I'll sing thy praises. God loves his children, loves even